Practicing medicine without insurance is possible. Imagine a private practice where you get to see your best patients every day, providing medical services you truly enjoy, all without the hassle of insurance. My name is Dr. T. Nguyen, and I'm a recovering specialist who was completely burned out from insurance-based medicine. I pivoted into direct care, where patients pay me directly for my medical services and have never looked back. If you're a private practice owner or planning to become one who's looking to be free of the grind of insurance and you're craving simplicity, efficiency, and connection with patients, you are in the right place. This podcast will help you map out your exit plan and uncover the mindset needed to thrive in today's economy. Welcome to the Direct Care Podcast for Specialists. Every year I'm asked what I want for my birthday, and my answer has always been, for as long as I can remember, I can purchase whatever I want. I have adult money now, so material things, I don't really ask for. I might ask for a handwritten card because those are one of my favorite things, to receive a handwritten card. I mean, how often are we even doing that anymore? So I'm pretty sentimental in that way. So I will always take a handwritten note card, and that'll be part of my collection of things I like to collect. Now, about 2 years ago, I made the request to my husband that for my birthday weekend, I really just want to be by myself. And when I tell my female friends or acquaintances, I get a universal nod, like, yeah, that makes sense. You deserve it. So I went to Paso Robles this past weekend. It's considered like the smaller of the wine country that we have out here in California. Sonoma Valley, if you've heard of it, Napa Valley, that's about 4 hours where I'm from. But Paso Robles is about 2.5 hours south. So it's nice because I don't have to go that far for that long and still enjoy a new scenery. So I scheduled a photo shoot this weekend. And when I spoke to the makeup artist and the photographer, they were asking what I was doing there. And I said, well, this weekend is really just for me. And these were people I've never met before, ladies I've not ever encountered other than at this photo shoot. And they just looked at me as if they understood what I meant by that. So even strangers understood what I meant when I said, I just need some me time. But when I told my husband this, he later on told me that he was a bit offended that I would want to be by myself on my birthday because, look, he's a really thoughtful, loving man. And I find it surprising and wonderful that he still wants to spend time with me, even after all of these years of us being together. I had met my husband when I was 19 and he was 21. I was invited to his birthday party at a restaurant. I got him a birthday cake, but it was the wrong age because, silly me, I didn't even bother to ask him how old he was turning. I just kind of assumed. And ever since then, we've been together. So we got married about 6.5 years of dating. Side story, he sat on the engagement ring for about a year, I'm told. And then we eventually got married while I was in podiatry school and he was in DO school. We went to the same school in Des Moines University. So while we were living in Iowa, we were planning for the wedding in California, where most of our friends and family were. I personally wanted to elope, but he was a lot more traditional, and so he wanted it this way. And I wanted to appease his family and I guess my family too. And so we just did the traditional wedding thing at a really nice hotel. So fast forward to us now having our daughter. She's 7 years old, just as old as my business. We felt it was the time to start a family. We were done with our training. We got a steady job. I got a job as an associate, and as you know, that story didn't last long. So then I went on to open my own practice while I was pregnant. So as I'm telling you the story, I'm reflecting on the moments that shaped where I am today. So being married to a general surgeon who has an unpredictable schedule and building my own practice had its own unpredictability. And then you throw in a kid up in there whose sleep schedule is whatever it is. I'm only able to see how chaotic all of that was now that I get to reflect back, because at the time, I just thought this was what it is. In order to get what you want, I thought you just had to hustle every moment of every day. That's what we were taught, to hustle and to hustle harder, but no whining, of course, right? absolutely, we did not need to ask for help because we can do it all. We wear this badge of honor of we can do this ourselves. And I think a lot of us wear this badge of independence, that being hard on yourself is what it takes to make it. And then a few years ago, I thought to myself, is it though? What if that was a lie? What if I chose to live simpler? What if I stopped hustling and stopped acting like I didn't need help? What if I showed my daughter what self-compassion actually looked like and that I can still show this different path towards success? Now, most days, living as a wife, a mom, a business owner, everything else comes before my own needs. So if I could just have my birthday just for me, that would feel like the ultimate luxury. So that's what I asked for. I asked for some space to do nothing, to lay in bed without external pressures, to not have an expectation to prepare a meal, to even cook for myself, or to do the bed, or to dress myself. Like, I don't want to do anything. I want to be a sack of potatoes and not be asked for anything that requires verbal response or just attention, really. So at this time, I'm finally realizing that I had gone through a few years of a slow burnout, even though I had the practice of my dreams. I opted out of insurance a couple of years ago, and I thought that was it. I thought this would lead to happiness. But the thing is, burnout is not a one-time event. You just don't wake up recovered. You don't wake up and realize that you're burning out, and then you do the one thing and it doesn't go away. A drink doesn't make it go away, not even a pill or even a therapy session. So this is what it feels like for a high-achieving person, a high-achieving doctor, knowing that we are capable of doing all the things. Like, intellectually, we know what it takes. We know we can handle it. But what ends up happening is we build a world of tolerance where we know that we can, but we never really stop to ask, but should I? And it's hard to think deeply or even to be selfish without having periods of rest. And resting is allowing your mind to wander. This is part of the recovery that I've experienced. So even though we have weekends, even though we clock out of work in the evenings, there is still like responsibility. So weekends are for family events, it's to catch up, it's to do chores, it's to grocery shop, it's to meal prep. There's all this constant interruption to do things. But having a weekend to myself in a place where I don't have to manage the space, I don't have to prepare my meals, I don't have to clean up after myself, nobody needs me. I literally just want to lay in bed and just maybe think of nothing even, or maybe reminisce about something. That's what I want. I want no responsibility. I don't want to be bothered. I want a deep tissue massage. I want food to come prepared, and I want it to be clean and put away by somebody else. So peace is the luxury I'm deeply craving. And for a moment, I feel like it is selfish to ask for that because people want my attention. They need my attention, but I need my attention too. I need me. And I don't feel like I've been fully rejuvenated for some time. And so I had to ask myself, what does rejuvenate me? Like, I thought being around people that I love and enjoy the company of would be rejuvenating. And oftentimes I just find myself kind of like tired, not in a bad way, but drained. Drained, like, okay, I don't feel fully refreshed. Like, I didn't really get the 8 hours of sleep. I feel like that was a nice to have, but I'm not like, I don't know. I don't know how to say it that's not in a mean way, but I don't feel rejuvenated sometimes. And so that's all I really wanted was a weekend to myself. I love to be able to love the work that I do, to produce like podcast episodes. I love being able to share some insights with you. I love being able to take care of my clinic patients who have been with me since I've opened. And I do really love to be needed at home. It's lovely. But sometimes I just need space for myself to just think and reflect and to appreciate what I do have and maybe think about what else do I want. There's something that I've been hearing over and over again, but I think I finally understand it now, that your business is a reflection of you. So when I opened my business, it was both exciting and frightening at the same time because I didn't know what to expect. I didn't have a worksheet. I didn't have like a timeline, or, when you go to medical school, you have a curriculum. You know that if you take these classes, you're going to have a test and you need a passing grade to move on to the next thing. So school was very structured, and I love that a lot. Even residency, you showed up for your cases, you clock in the number of cases you have, you take an exam, and then you get your certification and all the things. So there was always some kind of a regimen in our training. But when it comes to real life, there is no curriculum. And we've made it, somehow came to a place to believe that life is a linear trajectory, where if you start your business today, your business growth is linear, that it should continue to grow like upwards every year. Not really accounting for life circumstances. Things come up that you have to handle. It feels like a misstep. It feels like you're never going to get to the end. There are these expectations of business ownership that I don't think anybody really taught us until you were put into the situation. And now I get to kind of look back and think, my attendings, they were being kind when they were saying private practice is dead. You should just be employed, because they were private practice owners and they were probably not happy with where they were at. They saw the writings on the wall, but a lot of them were just far too established to even consider a different model, to consider opting out. And so I think they were trying to help us live a better life, to just get the job, to clock in and to clock out, because business ownership is truly a hustle game. And so that's why for a long time, it never crossed my mind to own a business. I just thought exactly that. I thought I would get my fellowship training that would make me more competitive, that I would get paid better because I had these advanced skills. But then reality set in, right? And none of that happened. I did not get paid more than the male colleague who got hired after me. I did not work at a job that I was really happy at. It was just a job to get paid, to pay off my bills, to pay off my student loans. I wasn't really getting to do the things that I was really good at. I was just doing, whatever was on my schedule. And that's the thing. When I first started my practice, when I left that job, opened my insurance-based practice, I just saw whoever showed up. Whoever had insurance, they had a foot problem. That was enough of a qualifier to see them. But that version of my business left me feeling really drained, and I felt really devalued by everyone. The insurance company didn't think doctors were worth paying. The patients treated me like I was a doormat. So they took advantage of my goodwill because I wanted to help, but then they would turn online to complain and never sharing that with me. So it was never really a relationship with the patient. It was always a relationship with the insurance companies for both the patient and myself. So in this model, nobody was getting what they wanted. And unfortunately, people don't know that medicine is not a restaurant business. People don't always get what they order. They come in for a diagnosis, and sometimes that diagnosis is bad. Or sometimes they get a medication that had negative side effects. Medicine is a business in which we help mitigate problems. And we do that better if we have a relationship with patients, not with the insurance companies. And I like to say, and I've heard this from somebody else, we are physicians, we're not magicians. That belongs on a t-shirt. I'm just telling you. So anyway, I was in a situation where I saw the system was toxic, which is why I left it. And I was able to leave it because I had certain luxuries. I had a husband who supported me. I had the mental bandwidth to decide, okay, I guess if I don't leave my current situation, I'm not going to be in clinical practice. So I had a lot of tools at my disposal that I sought out and that I was gifted with in a way. I left insurance based on practicality. I was burning out and I couldn't keep working harder for less. I also didn't have a limited amount of resources. So for private practice, it doesn't make sense to continue on this path. I also left insurance on the matter of principle. I didn't want to take part in something that continued to devalue physicians. And it put us in the middle of the patient insurance interaction. So the fact that I had a private practice, the fact that I knew no matter how we tried to negotiate our contract, it would just never see us as the experts that we truly are and that we should be compensated for that expertise level of care, It just didn't make sense to stay in that system. So anyway, you know that by now I left both the employed model and the insurance model. And so with that, I get to be more selective about who I let in and the services I get to perform and what hours I want to work. I built a system that was designed to serve people and to serve myself. This is not mutually exclusive. I could have both. So the practice that I have today was intentionally built piece by piece from conversations with other direct care doctors, from the observations that I had about the decline of reimbursement. I mean, the writing is all over the wall, and now it's all over social media. It's all over the news. I built this practice meticulously so. So for doctors who are choosing a direct care path, you're going to hear the worst of it. You're going to hear people speak about you, to you, say things like, you're being selfish, you are being greedy, you are being unethical. And these are people, they don't know the choices that you had left. For me, I was going to leave clinical practice. There was just no way I was going to stay in that situation that I was in. I was burning out. These complaints will also be loudest from the people who can no longer take advantage of you, right? It's going to be by colleagues who are mad about your freedom, mad that you have a choice that they didn't have. And to that I say, so what? So that is not a great place to get business advice. I'm just totally over being exploited, to live on other people's expectations, to have guilt for wanting what I want. I'm not doing that anymore. So the first 40 years of my life have passed, right? We call that the research phase. We did all the things and we're at the midpoint. I'm at the midpoint. I just turned 42. So I had a couple of years to really reflect. My unofficial research has shown me that humans are supposed to evolve. My business has evolved. My desires have evolved. My interests have evolved. So there comes a point in business and in life where you take your foot off the gas pedal and you just enjoy the ride. And I think that's where I'm at. I really didn't want to build a business that became like another prison for me to work in rather than working on, to work tirelessly and not enjoy the creation or the process. My business is my art, and I wanted my business to reflect my values because I'm spending a whole lot of time in it, on it. The biggest business lesson I've learned from getting another year older is this. Self-care is not a luxury. It is a necessity. It is the refueling of your emotional gas tank. Because when you feel full, your business and your life will thrive. They go hand in hand. The one advice I share with doctors who feel exploited, you are exhausted, you are burning out, you recognize it. The one thing I would tell you is to get professional help. A therapist, a physician coach, somebody who you can trust to lean on during these trying times as you try to evolve and figure out what's next for you. It might even look like gifting yourself a weekend to yourself so that you can deeply reflect on what you want next. And that's really hard to do when you have all of these responsibilities on your plate from day to day and even over the weekend. No one has ever really taught us how to protect our inner peace. But this is going to be the best investment for you and your business. And I like to joke that self-care is to your benefit because if I'm fulfilled, I am not, and people deserve that version of me. I deserve that version of me. If you haven't already joined me, I did create a free Facebook group for the Direct Care Society. It's totally free for you guys to join me. I love giving you resources and helping you with the next steps of your career path, your life. Just follow the link down in the show notes and I would love to meet you there. I just wanted to say thank you so much if you listened to the end. I hope my birthday reflections offer you inspiration to take time for yourself and perhaps schedule them regularly instead of waiting until you're at the edge of burning out to do something a little different. I hope you have a wonderful week. Until next time, take care. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a review and share it with a friend so more doctors can learn about direct care. Let's keep the conversation going on LinkedIn so we can help more doctors escape insurance and thrive in private practice. Thanks for listening. I'll talk with you next time. Take care.